I forgot Star Trek. The Next Generation already introduced a multiverse problem 31 years before Lower Decks. Star Trek has never been afraid to play with time, space, and the boundaries of reality, but when Lower Decks leaned into multiverse chaos, many fans saw it as a fresh and modern twist on the franchise. The truth is, Star Trek. The Next Generation quietly did it first, over 3 decades earlier. Buried in Season 7 is an episode that introduced a multiverse conundrum so vast that even modern Trek hasn't fully addressed it. Looking back, it's a story that reshapes the way we think about canon, alternate timelines, and what it really means when the Enterprise travels the stars. The episode that started it all. The multiverse problem began with TNG Season 7, Episode 11, Parallels. Released in 1993, the story followed Lieutenant Worf after a return from a Batleth tournament. At first, it seems like a standard off-kilter reality episode. Doors open on the wrong side, cakes appear at the wrong party, and small details feel off. But soon, Worf realizes he's slipping through alternate realities, each one branching from slightly different choices, accidents, and outcomes. By the climax, the Enterprise is surrounded by thousands of alternate Enterprises, all trying to reconcile their own reality. Some are peaceful, some are damaged, and at least one is desperate enough to fire weapons to preserve its existence. The implication is staggering. The Trek universe doesn't just have alternate timelines, it has an infinite multiverse, one that can collapse into itself if the boundaries are disturbed. Why Parallels was so radical. At the time, Star Trek had already dabbled in alternate timelines. Yesterday's Enterprise showed what happened when the past changed. All good things would soon demonstrate the fluidity of time itself. But Parallels was different. It wasn't about one event splintering reality. It was about every possible event creating countless parallel worlds. This episode didn't just suggest that reality could diverge, it confirmed that every small decision, from who wins a chess game to whether the Borg conquered Earth, exists somewhere in Trek's multiverse. That's not just storytelling convenience, it's a narrative powder keg. If every possible version of the Enterprise exists, then no storyline is ever truly final. Dead characters can exist elsewhere. Defeated villains might be thriving in another dimension. Victories may only be local. The multiverse makes the Star Trek universe simultaneously limitless and unstable. The Lower Decks connection. Fast forward to Star Trek. Lower Decks, which has leaned heavily on multiverse gags and references. The show treats alternate realities with a mix of reverence and comedy, from throwaway lines about evil mirror versions to meta-commentary about how Trek always has another timeline up its sleeve. Fans often assume this multiverse humor is a product of modern storytelling, inspired by Marvel, DC, and the pop culture obsession with alternate dimensions. But Lower Decks is really building on groundwork laid in Parallels. When the Cerritos crew jokes about infinite versions of themselves, or about how fragile canon really is, they're riffing on a concept Worf already proved true back in TNG. The biggest problem? Parallels never closed the door it opened. We know those realities exist, but Star Trek rarely deals with the consequences. The multiverse is canon, but its implications are largely ignored, except when a show like Lower Decks drags it back into focus. The problem the multiverse creates for Star Trek. The existence of infinite Enterprises undermines one of Trek's strongest traditions: consequences. Star Trek is at its best when characters make tough choices, live with the fallout, and grow from it. Kirk letting Edith Keeler die, Picard refusing to negotiate with the Borg, Janeway stranding Voyager in the Delta Quadrant. These stories matter because the stakes are real. But the multiverse says, don't worry, in another universe, Edith lived. In another, the Borg were defeated differently. In another, Voyager made it home instantly. That raises a troubling question. Does any decision really matter if every possibility is true somewhere? Lower Decks embraces this absurdity with humor, but for TNG it was an unresolved philosophical riddle. Worf returned to his prime reality at the end of Parallels, but the countless other Worfs and their countless other Enterprises were still out there. Why we forgot about it? Part of the reason Parallels isn't talked about as often as it should be is timing. It aired in TNG's final season, right before the landmark finale, All Good Things stole the spotlight. Many fans also lumped it in with Trek's long line of alternate reality episodes, not realizing it was making a much bigger statement. On top of that, the show didn't revisit the idea. Unlike the Mirror Universe, which